us recording, so we won't leave them out. Good to go. Yeah, take it away. Oh, does everyone have their journals with them?
Yes, make sure you have your journal, something to write with, some water. We'll pretty much be doing a nice smooth transition into a little restorative yoga and yoga nidra. So you may even want to have blankets, pillows, bolsters. If you have them, blocks maybe. Casey, do they need blocks? Maybe.
Yeah, if they have them, it's great to have, but might not be necessary just because I figured some people wouldn't have them. So
Okay.
anything to your comfort.
All right. Yeah, have all that stuff nearby. Okay. There she is. All right. Well, I don't think we need any more introductions. I think we well acquainted, everyone here in terms of us just kind of getting to know each other in the community and sharing our experiences with each other. So this portion of the day will be reflectant and continuous from our practice yesterday evening. So returning to your journals, if you were with us yesterday, you'll have a list of your identities. If you weren't here last night, just a quick recap, and if you want to start on that list, you can. So just encouraging people to take a moment and to reflect on some labels, titles, different stamps, whether societal, personal, or otherwise, that that kind of help define your identity. So in some cases, or not cases, but I guess in terms of ways to identify yourself, that can include your occupation, title. In terms of your relationships, that could be whether you consider yourself a spouse, wife, husband, partner, and maybe a child, daughter, son. It could also include maybe different causes you feel like you advocate for. Um, if you consider yourself activist. Also, it could have something to do with your ethnicity or your cultural background, color of your skin, things that you feel like define you and dictate how you show up in the world to other people. And after we create this list, and you can continue to write as I talk, yesterday we just kind of reflected on the associations with these titles, the weight that we bear with these titles, whether it's oppressive or there's some sort of judgment that comes along with these titles, and how that feels for us. Taking a second to just kind of reflect on how it feels. And I'll just recap it verbally because I believe Casey will be sending out a copy of that video, and you can catch up on that meditation when you're able to. And then just sort of reflecting on how that feels in your body and your mind and your spirit, and then how that feels when you remove yourself from that by saying, I am not these things, and granting yourself sort of a moment of detachment. So today, as we've had more conversations, talking a bit more about identity and how we show up to ourselves and with each other. Maybe that list has grown. Maybe you've had an opportunity to reflect more about how you show up in the world, more titles that you can add that, maybe that you didn't write down last night. So I'll give you some time to think about that, to add to your list. And then to also maybe even reflect on some of the more abstract things, like if you've ever been called weird, it's a title, it's a label, right? And there's maybe a weight or other associations that kind of come up with being considered weird or outcast or just different, which can mean lots of things depending on how you perceive them. But with those perceptions, comes either a certain expectation or again a judgment or even a responsibility. And so we can just take a moment to reflect on that. Let's take about 1 more minute. All right, so I'll have you finish your thought. And when you're done, you just find a spot to sit. If you are in a chair, you can just bring your feet down flat onto the floor, sit up tall, or if you're sitting on the floor or a more comfortable spot, and just making sure you're sitting up nice and tall. And we'll take 2 nice deep cleansing breaths in and out through the nose together. And then allowing yourself to return to your natural breathing. You can allow your eyes to fall heavy and look down towards the floor or in front of you, or to let them come closed. And in your mind's eye, reflecting back on your list of titles of all the things that come up with these labels that we put on ourselves and that others put on us. The expectations attached to these names. How we've been wearing them in our bodies and our thought process around them. How it feels in our energy. And opposed to considering the weight, the proverbial weight that may come with these titles and labels, let's take a moment to shift and to consider the privilege that comes with these titles. Whether you feel you're in marginalized categories or not. As mentioned before in the panel, we can consider that even if it's in the slightest, that there is some form of privilege that we get to benefit from. Not only does this shift in thought allow us to bring us acknowledgement on ways that we may show up, but potentially empower us out of the states of oppression and victimhood and make us see the balance, make us see the duality of our existence. If you are struggling to consider any place in your life and in your existence and your identity as being privileged in any way, perhaps you can consider right now that it is a privilege that we are all here in this moment. That we have access to each other in a way that perhaps there are others in the world who do not have the same access. That as you sit in your home, in your space, that there are others in the world who do not have private places to sit and engage with themselves. And to some degree, even the privilege of having the level of awareness that you currently have to show up to an event such as this. And to have these discussions of change. To be aware of its importance. And to be in the internal space of willingness and the mindfulness of change and growth. And if perhaps you are still struggling to feel any sense of privilege in your existence, in your identities, just continue to notice how it does feel to be what you are, who you are, what you call yourself, what others call you. And just continue to sit with that in this moment. And now as you reflect on your privilege or the privilege attached to certain identities that you may hold, ask yourself how it feels in your body to have this privilege. How do you feel like you wear this in your physical being? How do you feel that you wear this privilege in your energy as you move through the world? How does this privilege affect your mental space or your thought process about yourself and about others? And when you're ready, let us take 2 more deep cleansing breaths in and out through the nose. And you can begin to open your eyes if they were closed and find yourself back into your space and into your body. And when you're ready, you can begin to write down your experience. I encourage you to record any physical sensations that you experienced, any thoughts or memories that might have arisen. Maybe even some energetic shifts that might have occurred or realizations. It's about 2 more minutes. And finishing up your thoughts. And after you finish your thought, I encourage you to take 1 or 2 more deep cleansing breaths. So again, we won't share these this evening, but please hold on to these as we'll be coming back around to these lists and these experiences at the end of our program tomorrow, and reflecting on everything and kind of bringing things full circle. But encouraging you to consider that list and to think more on it, to add to it as things come up if necessary, if that applies to you as well, between today, tomorrow, and even beyond. And so now I will leave the rest of the evening in Casey's hands.
Thanks, Brittney. That was great. Let me just adjust this so it's a little bit further back. What year? I'm not used to having this so close, but I figured that since we're going to be doing a more restorative, very low to the ground practice this evening, and then move into a yoga nidra meditation. So before we get into the movement, I just wanted to speak a little bit about yoga nidra, just in case this is anyone's first experience, or in case it's been a while and you just need a refresher on what to expect and where we're going. Also, just a little bit of information about yoga nidra. It means yogic sleep or effortless relaxation, and it really is that kind of phase between the waking and the sleeping, that kind of in between zone, the conscious state. and it really allows for deep relaxation of the mind, of the body. And it's really through conscious awareness and through the body scan that we are welcoming in that state of relaxation. Um, it's a different experience every time, just like the breath work, just like any meditation. Depending on where you're at, you might drop into a deep relaxation. You might struggle a little bit. You might zone out. You might fall asleep. And all of those are valid experiences. You don't have to hear every single word that I'm saying to be able to get the benefit of the practice. You can really just allow yourself to zone into that meditative state and just be an active listener throughout the process, and just kind of let the sensations and the scan to kind of move your mind in that way. It's an ancient practice that derives from India, and its first recordings written down are at about 700 BC, but through just spoken word and passing on, they've traced it back to 1000 BC. Now, in our modern day, we have many lineages that kind of have sprung off that really in the US has come in like the 60s with a lot of these sort of, many of the other New Age practices that we see here. So just kind of understanding and honoring that lineage, and that this is ancient knowledge, just like so much of what we've been kind of tapping into today. So yeah, that's kind of the introduction there of what you can expect. Yoga Nidra as a practice is also continuing to evolve and is now being used in a lot of clinical studies and actually being shown to have tangible scientific results. So that's also kind of exciting to have that backing it, in addition to knowing the history and the lineage. So yeah, we're going to end with Yoga Nidra and have that as part of our Shavasana after we've gone through a little bit of movement. I figured since we've had such a day of sitting, it might be nice to just move, stretch, and then we'll get into some more relaxing poses and then our Yoga Nidra. So we'll just start off seated. I think we're all there now. So you can find that tall seat if you've adjusted at all, maybe slumped a little bit, recommit back. And then just simply start with your neck, finding a few neck rolls. And softening through your jaw, your brow, any other muscles that you notice in your face. If you notice any crunchiness or tightness in the neck, maybe you pause for a moment, breathe into that. Breathe in more space. And with each exhale, imagine the release that your body is allowing. A release of some of the tension and tightness. A release of the control. Just allowing the body to be fluid and soft. Then starting to move down to the shoulders, shrugging the shoulders up towards your ears, and then softening them down, taking a few big movements like that. And moving in another way, forward to back or back to front, whichever is the opposite that you started. And then move it down to the abdomen, to the rib cage, bringing yourself to seated cat-cow. Inhale, chest forward. Exhale, round chin to heart. Taking a few more like that. And then starting to spiral the spine and making that a rotation, a circular momentum with your cat-cow. Heart forward, side, round heart back, and to the opposite side. And of course, switch the direction, spiral it out in the other way. Take a little free movement, anything that feels good. And then we'll just transition to child's pose, moving to hands and knees. I've got a few pillows out. You might have pillows as well. You might bring that between the legs. And we're going to settle in before we get into some movement. So you might have the toes together, the knees apart, the pillows stacked, and offering a little bit of support so that you can relax down here. And just find a comfortable child's pose. You could bring a pillow or a blanket out under your knees as well. Take any and all support. And if you get into child's pose today and this is not supportive, maybe lay on your belly, maybe lay on your side instead. Take some deep breaths. Feel yourself surrender into this moment, into the pose. For a moment, focus on the back of your body from the base of your skull, the top of your head, all the way to your tailbone. And around your spine, release to the ground. And then begin to send your breath to your lower back. As though you were breathing into your kidneys. Feel the breath swirling around your organs, your belly softening. Taking in as much as you can on your inhale, really filling the space. And exhaling with a sigh, with a release in a way that allows more of that old air, that stale air to depart. Inhale, fill every space. Taking an extra sip at the top of the breath. Exhale, empty as fully as you can, engage to press a little more out at the end. And just focus on that pattern of breathing for a little while. Imagine where the breath is navigating in your body. From top to bottom, side to side. Filling up your vessel. And then emptying. Just the same. We've had this full day, so noticing how your body reacts to this idea of surrender. After being engaged and involved in a part of vibrant community all day, to now go back inward, to go into your vessel and to have your full attention there. So making that transition back to the inward focus. Notice any thoughts that are present. Letting them come and go with detachment, yet allowing them to be part of the present moment. Maybe you want to find an affirmation or intention to guide you in this part of the practice. Something to focus your attention, your mind's eye on. Take one more breath here, preparing yourself to move. And press yourself up to hands and knees. And we'll find a tabletop position. The arms pressing into the ground, palms under the shoulders, spine long, and gazing in front of your hands. You can extend your right leg out to start with and just press into the ball of the right foot. Maybe pedaling a bit here, or just rooting the foot down into the ground. Stretch the back of the right leg. Take a couple more breaths. And then step that right foot forward in towards your chest, and you can help it get to the front of your mat. So just moving into a lunge position. Maybe lifting up towards the thigh, or maybe staying down on the ground. If you have blocks out, you could always bring blocks under the hands now. Maybe untucking that back foot if that feels good. And just leaning into a low lunge, a gentle lunge. You can find a little bit of movement here if it feels good. Really stretching into that left hip, especially after we've spent some time sitting today. It might be a little tight, so be gentle on yourself. If you need to come out, you can unbend that front knee at any time and take a breath there, maybe going back. Maybe even finding a little bit of movement here forward and back as part of your stretch. So I'll present you some options for what you can take physically in your body. And it's always your choice on where to go. So listen to what it is that you need and always be tuning in to the sensation, to the communication that your body is giving you. Let's take one more breath wherever you're at. And eventually move back to that lunge with both hands on the ground. Press weight into your hands, step your right foot back. Come back to tabletop and give a few rounds of movement here, whether that's some cat-cow or maybe gazing over each shoulder with a side-to-side movement. Finding more of a side body stretch here. Still finding the expansive breath, breathing to release any tension. And then come back to a still spine, press into your hands, and extend the left leg. Same thing, we'll just pedal that foot out, press for a few moments. And then bring the left knee forward. You can help it get there if it needs some help. Set up for your lunge on this side. Take a moment to immediately notice left and right. What's the difference? What's the same? Without judgment or criticism of your body, just noticing what is happening here. You can stay low, you can lift up. And you could start to find a little forward back movement. Keep breathing, keep connected to the breath, to the life force, the energy in your body, the energy of each pose that you find yourself in. Be fully present. We have one more breath here. Coming back to that same lunge. And then stepping your left foot back where it started. A little bit more movement between rounds. Maybe this time you start to sway the hips, sending the hips back and around. Taking some big movements and really working out through the hip joint. Anywhere you notice that's tight or achy, maybe find a pause, maybe sway a little bit side to side, dipping here and just feeling everything that's present in your body. In what way does your body need and want to be moved tonight? Take one more full cycle all the way around. And then the next time that you come forward, go all the way forward and down to your belly. Until you get onto your abdomen, the hands can come in towards your shoulders and the elbows hug in near your rib cage. Inhale, lift up, low cobra. Exhale, lower down. Take a few more like that with your breath. You can stay high or low, go where your body wants to go here. Maybe lifting the hands up if you just want to use the upper back and hold that shape. We've done a lot of sitting today, so again, working out that movement in your shoulders, breathing in a little bit of space and flexibility there. One more full round. And then a release, chest down to the ground. Bring your forearms to the ground. And lift your heart up. Find Sphinx pose. With your chest pressing forward, your upper back engaged, and your gaze soft and looking in front of you. Take a few breaths here. Maybe you start to find those neck rolls again if that would feel good for you. Still pressing weight into the ground with your forearms. Now release down to the ground. And send your right arm out to the side. So I'll demonstrate here. We'll have the right arm out and the palm flat to the ground. The fingertips just inching a little bit away from your body. Your right cheek will also come to the mat. And we're going to press and roll onto the right side. Now you can bend your knees in towards your chest, kind of finding a fetal position. We've got that right arm out to the side. Maybe you bring the left hand up to the ceiling or around your back. Take some deep breaths into that right shoulder. Open up in that space. Keep breathing. You can find a deeper shape by straightening the legs, by extending the left arm back, or by bending the knees up towards the ceiling. Again, these are options, but you choose. You take the shape that your body's asking for tonight and breathe through it. Take one more breath. And then roll back onto your abdomen, onto your front body. For a moment, just rest there. Let your forehead rest on your hands or your cheek on the mat. And just take a few breaths. As you breathe, feel your belly press into the ground and feel the lower back fill with air. We'll move to the other side. So this time the left hand comes out to the side. The left cheek comes to the mat. I'll just flip directions so I can keep talking to you. And it's the same shape. We're just rolling on to the left side, maybe bending those knees, maybe extending them straight, maybe reaching the right hand up or back. Keep breathing those big, full, expansive breaths. Connect and release. Take about 5 more here. Take one more breath. And then roll onto your front body. Kick your feet up and just give a little side to side movement here. And then press yourself up and back. Moving from hands and knees to hero's pose. So you might bring that blanket out. You might bring a cushion out. And if this is absolutely not a comfortable position for you, of course, you can just find any other seated position. Spread your arms out wide and lift your heart up. You might keep the arms straight or bend the elbows a bit. Inhale, wide open. Exhale, embrace yourself. Give yourself a hug. Inhale, open. And exhale, arms across. Take it a few more times, each time alternating which arm comes up on top. Really exaggerating that rounding of your spine, maybe even holding a little bit longer and giving a neck roll as the arms come together. Maybe taking a little bit of movement, lifting the elbows and rounding. This is a moment to really take your own shapes and own movements. Take your time. Let it feel good. And ask yourself what would feel good in this moment in time. You know what you need. Take a few more intentional movements and breaths here. And then we're just going to transition down to our backs. So before you get too comfortable, you may make sure to have your pillows, blanket, anything that you may want or need throughout the meditation component, the yoga nidra, nearby so that at least it's handy. If you don't have a pillow, you can always roll up a blanket and bring that underneath your head or underneath your knees, under the ankles. And get down to your back. And for now, we'll just bring the knees in, hug them in tight. Or if that's not comfortable, let the feet plant to the ground. Maybe you give a little movement side to side. Maybe you give your body a full hug. And if you've got a pillow or some other sort of cushion, you might bring that out for this next shape, which will be a supported twist. We're going to start by just sliding the hips over to the left just a little bit so that they're in the middle of the mat. You can bring the pillow between the knees and then let the knees fall to the right. Let the arms come out like a T or a cactus shape, so that you're finding support here and this nice spinal twist. You could look over towards the left hand or close your eyes. The goal here is to feel support here with the prop. So if you can add a little more cushion, that would help. Take that. Start to breathe into the twist, into your abdomen, rib cage, and chest. And connecting to the consistency of your breath in this twist. Do you feel any restrictions or anything that's different? Where does the breath show up in your body in this shape? And do you need anything to be more comfortable and supported in this moment? Allow your mind's eye to move inward. Maybe repeating to yourself, I release, I let go, I soften, I surrender. Keep breathing. Keep releasing. With each breath going a little bit deeper in the body, in the mind, in the soul. As we stay here for a while, maybe your body wants to go a little bit deeper. Maybe to you that is removing props or putting a little bit of pressure on that top leg, gently letting the twist deepen. Or maybe that means unbending the right leg and sending it away from your torso. These are options, but not requirements. We'll take 5 more breaths in this twist. Take one more here, your biggest breath that you've taken all day. And then unwind, untwist onto your back. Bring the knees in and hold just on top of the kneecaps or at the thighs. And give some big circles with the knees. Maybe give a little bit of movement with the neck, looking left and right, or pausing for a couple breaths on either side. And then bring the feet back to the mat. This time we're going to move the hips slightly to the right and drop the knees down to the left, coming into a gentle twist, a supported twist on this side. Arms out wide, maybe gazing over to the right or maybe closing your eyes. Settle into this side now. Again, taking that time, that consideration to simply notice, to be aware of subtle differences and similarities. What does your body hold? What is your body telling you? Breathing fully and completely into the shape. With each breath going deeper into your meditative capabilities. Expanding your capacity. And connecting to the wisdom inside. that breath as a focal point, keeping your intention for your mind, allowing any other thoughts to pass through. As we're here, maybe you've grown ready to remove some of the support or find that slight pressure on the thigh, anything to move just a little deeper, even if that's simply with the breath. You could extend the right leg or stay where you are. Five more breaths. On your next inhale, you can roll onto your back again. This time, plant the feet and bring the feet to your mat's edge. And then just windshield wiper the legs left to right. And then lift the feet up, and you can grab for the ankles or the pinky edges of your feet. Maybe you just keep the feet right where they are together with knees apart. Maybe you want to move the feet into a full happy baby and start to rock a bit there. And then release the feet, plant them to the ground, and cross the left foot over the right ankle or the right thigh. You could take a little movement, maybe side to side, or just stay right where you're at. You could lift up the right leg and lace your fingers to go a little deeper. Maybe even bring your forehead a little closer if that feels good. Your options, your choices. Still going with what feels good. Extending compassion to your body tonight and always. We won't stay here quite as long. We'll just give 5 more breaths. And then we'll release both legs down to the ground. You could find a full body stretch. And then we'll switch it out, crossing the right leg on top of the left, bending that knee. Maybe going a little bit deeper. Or maybe just keeping that foot to the ground. Breathe. we'll stay for 5 more breaths. And then you can release both legs to the ground. Maybe giving a little movement. And then taking a full body stretch. And then we'll move into a comfortable Shavasana position. So that's our corpse pose, our resting pose. You can take that on your back. You could offer a pillow under your head, maybe one under the knees, or maybe rolling onto your belly or onto your side if that would be more comfortable for your meditation. As we start to move into this piece, really allowing your comfort to be the highest priority. We'll start by just dropping in. So begin to allow your body to be heavier. And simply focus on the breath. In and out. Move your full attention into that cycle, that flow. Let your eyes soften or close completely. And start by giving yourself permission. Mentally and physically and emotionally committed to your relaxation. And that it's okay to take this moment. You are deserving of this moment. That you do enough and you are enough. And right now it's okay to rest. Right now you can set a sankalpa or your affirmation or intention for this yoga nidra practice. It could be one that you've used before. It could be one that's new. It could just be simply to commit to rest, to surrender. Taking a moment to set that sankalpa, to set that for yourself. And to breathe it in, repeat it to yourself on the inhale, on the exhale. And a few more times like that, repeat to yourself. Drop a little deeper into that space. I want to stay in this position, breathing in that intention, that affirmation for a while. As we're here, if your body does need to be moved or you realize that you need to shift, you can take that, you can shift, you can do whatever you need in this space. There's no right or wrong way to practice. You're doing it just by being here. For a moment, begin to focus your full attention on the top of your head, on the crown chakra. Imagine a space here, a light, a swirling energy. And then allow some softness in your skull. And you might even imagine like a warm shower trickling on the top of your head. And that sensation of the driplets of water running down your skull. And from the top of your head, move to your third eye. The space right between your eyebrows. And imagine that same light glowing here, vibrant and opening. Like this infinite eye. Breathe into that space. And then move to the left eyebrow, and the right eyebrow, the left eyelid, and the right eyelid. Into the bridge of your nose, and left and right nostrils. Feel the air moving through your nostrils, up through the bridge of your nose, through the third eye. That first point that the fresh air meets your body. Feel the sensation of breathing. And imagine your eyes, left eyeball, right eyeball. Connect to the sensation of seeing. Imagine your eyes like radiant, glowing embers. And then moving down to the left cheek, the right cheek, the left jawline, and the right, meeting at the middle at your chin. The bottom and upper lip, the inside of your mouth, the top and bottom rows of your teeth, the gums, and your tongue. Feel the saliva in your mouth and that sensation of taste. And as you swallow, feeling your throat, the esophagus, the front and back of your throat, the ears, the earlobes, the sensation of hearing my voice, the inner and outer ear into the ear canal, into the center of the head of the throat. And then moving down to your throat chakra, to your center of communication, of truth. And feeling that openness, that vibration, maybe even feeling a little bit of a ha or a release on that next exhale, bringing a little bit of vibration into your throat. And soften as you move focus to the collarbone, the clavicle, the left shoulder, the left arm, to the elbow, to the forearm, to the wrist, the front and back and sides of your arm, and each one of your fingers. Palm like a glowing radiant light. Like you're holding a ball of light in your left hand. Feel that light traveling up your inner arm towards your armpit, to the left side, to your sternum, to your energetic heart, and to the right shoulder, on the right arm, the right elbow and wrist, the entire right arm, front, back, and sides, and each one of the fingers. And the palm holding another ball of light in both hands, connecting back to your heart, traveling inside the right arm, still holding those balls of light, and feeling that light radiate back to your heart center. And imagine at your heartbeat, at your heart center, that space of love guiding you in your movements and in the ways that you interact with the world and with yourself. In your rib cage, your lungs, the shoulder blades and upper back, feeling your abdomen, the fronts and backs and sides of your belly, and the diaphragm breathing you in and out. To land at your belly button, and to imagine a golden light, glowing, vibrant, bright. Your power, your center, your force that drives you in this world. And connecting there to that space, that energy. And traveling down deeper into your pelvis region, to your sexual organs, to your glutes, into your hips, sinking down to the ground as though you were weighted here. And feeling that creative energy of the sexual organs and feeling that creative flow that you bring into the world. Moving from the pelvis all the way down, feeling your root chakra here, the very end of your spine. Your tailbone rooted down to the earth. Your sense of safety and security and knowing that you have it all within you, everything that you need. And then traveling down the thighs, the inner, the outer, the knees, to the shins and the calf muscles, the ankles and the feet that carry you through this life, that take you where you need to be. Each one of the toes, the front and back of the feet, the arch. Feel your feet like glowing, vibrant light. As though from the soles of your feet, you could imagine a beam extending out. This beam extending in all directions through your hands, your feet, and your head. Imagining in this moment your body like a vibrant light, as one complete whole, all of these pieces together as one, completing you, connecting you to this world. Feel the sensory elements of this moment. Feel the connection of your mind, body, soul, spirit, and that connection of your inner and outer worlds together. And for a moment now, just breathe. Breathe in the light, breathe in the balance, and breathe in this moment. Come back to your breath, come back to your body. Notice where your mind is at. And take a big full inhale. And an open mouth exhale. Come back to your sankalpa. Repeat that to yourself again, or find a new one in this moment if that resonates with you differently. And then when you're ready, take a full body stretch, arms, legs. Take up a little space here. Feel the air around your body. You can start with any sort of slow movements that would feel supportive. Take your time. You might roll over to one side and find the fetal position. Just take a few breaths there. When you're ready, you could find a seat. Give a few breaths sitting upright, maybe a couple neck rolls when you get there. Maybe a sip of water. We all have our journals, so if you'd like to bring out your journal and jot down any feelings, experiences, or emotions, thoughts, anything at all, you're welcome to take a couple minutes. If you'd like to unmute yourself and share, or to write anything in the chat box, you're also welcome to share in that way too. Like I said, yoga nidra can be a different experience every single time, especially when experiencing a full day like we've had. I think that sometimes, our mental exhaustion, and just kind of like the brain power that we've used can make it easier, make it harder, have different impact on how we're able to show up in that space. So I'd be interested to know just how people's experience was and whether or not, the getting into that zone or how it was to be in that zone. So, yeah. Brittany, you fall asleep every time. Well, see, your body knows what you need. So, I mean, if you needed that sleep, you needed that sleep. Honestly, yoga nidra is one of my tools for falling asleep. I have a few go-to meditations on Insight Timer and YouTube that sometimes I, like for example, when I was on a family trip recently and it was a full day and lots of kiddos, and I was like, I really need to shift my energy to try to fall asleep. I was like, yep, yoga nidra, that's what I need. Oh, great. And Marie says she felt more calm and the ability to visualize the light more, and her mind did not wander as much as I thought it would. Yeah, it's interesting. When we've had so many topics and like all of this discussion and this high energy level brain activity, sometimes it can be really hard to like shut that off. So I'm glad that worked for you. And yeah, I'm like way too far away. I need to move this closer. There we go. My eyes. Very relaxing. Awesome. Well, thank you all. I'm glad that we've got to have this experience today. It's been a full day, a really, really full day. It's been great to spend the whole day with you all, and to just be learning together and exploring together. Tomorrow we kind of flipped it. Well, I guess before I jump into that, does anyone else have anything that they wanted to share? I don't want to cut that off if there is anything else to be said. Oh, I had some hard memories come up. Easier to welcome them. Interesting, yeah. And I guess like part of the practice, letting the memories, the thoughts come and go, and not like latch on too much, like still recognizing them and acknowledging them, but yeah, like not. I think sometimes it's like going on a mental tangent. It's like because you've gone down this wormhole or this path inside your own brain, and like when you see yourself or you feel that coming up, just like I really think of the waves washing over you mentality. Of like feeling it, experiencing it, seeing it, visualizing it, but releasing it at the same time, and letting it be part of the experience. What you said in your practice versus perfection classes are very relevant to that. Oh, really? Some emotions came up for you too, Brittney. Overwhelming in a positive way. Well, yeah, it's valid too. I feel like today has been an emotional day, and there's been a lot of things there too. So, well, thank you all so much. I really love yoga nidra, so it's really a fun thing to get the chance to guide and to bring that into like the element of this weekend. And I thought that would be a great way for tonight's ending. And tomorrow we're flipping the schedule. We've got Drea leading yoga, a 90-minute session. And I saw a post that she made that she had the chakra book out too. So I think we'll be doing a little bit of chakra exploration in tomorrow's practice. And we're going to kick us off with that 90 minutes. And then we'll take a short little break. And we have Shawande doing the Infinite Self workshop, which is going to bring in a whole bunch of different elements of numerology and astrology and the symbols in our lives, the words and the meaning. So I feel like all of that will really tie in. And then we have community Q&A with Brittney and Liberty. And that's really just an option or an opportunity to bring any questions that you have from the weekend or just anything that you want to unpack further. We'll have some topic points that we'll pose out to the group, but it's really just a space for a deeper connection and conversation. And then we have our keynote speaker, Susanna Barataki, who I'm really excited to have as part of the event. And then a little journaling and wind down. And that's kind of what we'll have tomorrow. It'll be a little bit less intensive, with a little bit more breaks planned out. And we'll be done by about 5 p.m. Central Time. So that's everything. I'm happy to stay on for a little bit. We're a couple minutes over, but anyone who wants to chat or, just any other questions or further talking about yoga nidra or anything else from the day, um, yeah, the floral and space will be here. The floor is open, the space is here. But yeah, so much gratitude to all of you for showing up and being here and participating to your capacity and